done on how you can explain chicken molestation in Key West. You might want to think about just leaving the boat here just a moment. Between East Martello Union and Civil War Court. There are 3 of these forts along the coastline. Sponges, well, you know, that didn't sit well with the locals, and the sponge wars broke out. They didn't last long. By the early 1930s, a red tide had settled into the area. When that red tide settled in, it kept the sun from shining down on the sponge beds, and they died, ending sponging and prosperity, especially here in Key West. Went from being very wealthy. So it's over 100 years old now. About 103, you're going to see. 1930s, Key West really fell on hard times. The majority. Some type of a gala, some type of a party, something taking place here at their home. Now, when they had this house built, they were very specific in their instructions to both the architect and the builders that the home only have 1 bedroom. They liked to party. What they didn't like were overnight guests. Coming up here in front of us, probably the most 90 miles to Cuba. That way, if you wanted to go to a Walmart, you'd have to go 130 miles. In gold, you could roll about 150 cigars a day. During the heyday of the cigar, down there is one little exception here on the right. Election here. Sadly, we lost Sonny in 2020. He was 90 calories square. Can't stay seated until I come to a complete stop, and then when I do, and open the doors, I'll be a signal for everybody to exit the trolley.
So our first attraction we talk about is our Key West Aquarium. This was built by the Roosevelt government snow roof. The angle has to be like that so snow would accumulate and collapse the roof of that building. Yep. Since that building was built in 1891, that roof has never collapsed as a result of snow.
It worked.
Exactly. America anywhere this property left to his oldest son built. But the reason I asked about Jimmy Buffett fans, so Ashley lived there. She was a trust fund girl. And Ashley had a tendency to go off her meds before meds were something you could actually go off. And she would go a little crazy up and down the street. Well, Jimmy Buffett lived at the next intersection on the left. He'd come out in his balcony watching Miss Ashley just go up this street going absolutely crazy. And it inspired him to write the song, Woman Going Crazy on Caroline Street, written about Miss Ashley. Actually, we're pushing to get this street named Jimmy Buffett Way. So we keep putting up these official little stickers on the poles, and the city takes them down, and then we put them right back up again. But yeah, when Jimmy lived here, this was one of the worst parts of Key West. All the shrimp boats came into the harbor over here. The shrimpers would be hanging out the bars, getting drunk. The Navy boys would come down, hang out the bars, and get the notorious bar in Florida. The Red Door Town, the doorman would pat you down looking for weapons. And if you didn't have a weapon, he gave you one. That's right. So we've just heard on to Duval Street. This is our big parties restored by the Hard Rock. They did a beautiful job. Yeah, they do a free tour. They restored the interior back to how it was in the 1800s. One of the best porches on the island. But now coming up on the left, that St. Paul wood, that was a bad idea because it burned to the ground. So they rebuilt it out of wood, and it burned to the ground. So they rebuilt it out of brick. 36, though you see the image as the old Papa Hemingway. This property was bought by his second wife, Pauline's uncle Gus Piper. $1,000 he got this for. He made his money in the pharmaceutical industry. His company today is known as Pfizer. But that urinal from Sloppy Joe's is still right there on property. If you do a tour, make sure they point it out. 6 Joe Cat. Like heavy drinker and a womanizer. That's not the Hemingway that lived here. The Hemingway that lived in Key West was very much the same. He raised all 3 of his boys here in Key West. Every morning, he would write 700 to 800 words before he did anything. And most of his time on the island was spent fishing or adventuring with his 3 boys. Where I'm from in Washington State, If we have a family member that ain't quite right in the head, we put them in a home. You're in Key West. If you've got a family member that ain't quite right, you put them on the porch. Now, if I've got any fans of Johnny Cash on board, one of his biggest hits was written by, always been a big draw for writers on this island. Another big writer from my childhood, moved here about 16 years ago, a woman named Judy Blume, who wrote Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing. She's actually got a bookstore over on Eaton Street. Monday through Friday, right there at the counter working her bookstore. Back there in the back, that's our Hurricane Grotto. That is the reason all the heavier pirate ships completely eradicated